everybody, in case you haven't noticed, this is a Liberator rocket stove. What a beast. Now, the guys over at Liberator dropped me a line and said, would I be interested in having one? And of course, it's a US company. And I thought, well, yeah, that's a long way for such a thing to come. But Sean over there said, now, Rob, what we want you to do, if you wouldn't mind, have a look at it, see if you can come up with some improvements, and let's have a chat about how we could develop this further. Now, Liberator began as a father-son duo in St. Louis. They found the regulations there to be ridiculous, so they moved out to the backwoods of Missouri, and now they're in Bourbon, Montana. I think it's Montana, MO is Montana, isn't it? So that's where they are, and of course, that really appeals to me. A couple of guys who are suffering the same things we all are, rising bills, doing something about it, turning it into a product and looking to improve their product all the time. How can you say no to a suggestion like that? So of course I said yes. So they shipped me over a Liberator to have a look at it. And of course what we're going to do is get it out of the case. Incidentally, this was delivered by Thor Express. I've got a Liberator delivered by Thor. I mean, it's like the title of a new Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, isn't it? Anyway, I'm obviously excited. Let's get it open. Okay, main stove, feed hopper. Okay, nice weld, stove finish, and this steel is 6 millimeters thick. No wonder this thing weighs about 120 keys. That's heavy, but that's heavy duty. The ash grate, incidentally, is a chunky bit of stainless. Okay, let's get the top off and have a look inside. Okay, we're now having a look down into the rocket stove. So there's the exhaust chimney right there. That's where the exhaust comes out. This is the rocket stove bit itself, and it's obviously a J-type rocket stove with an addition for a hopper. This is clever. They've put the ceramic on the inside of the pipe, so any corrosion and combustion stuff that's going to hurt that steel is actually going to hit the installation first. So the installation ceramic is on the inside of the pipe. I really like that. That's a clever idea. And then of course it acts just as we talked about when we did how to convert a rocket stove for indoor use. So this is an L-type, just like all the other stoves, sorry, J-type, like the rocket stoves we've been making. Big old tube around it, and then an exhaust vent down the bottom there, so you can exhaust it to the outside air. Now this is 100% American made, and apparently 99.5% efficient in its burn. I can believe it. No problems at all. That's a very nice chimney height. Good gap here to let the exhaust flow out, and of course this is going to get hot, and this is going to be radiating an awful lot of heat. Okay, so it's basically the same as this. Apart from the fact that the feed here is upright and we've got ours at an angle, and then there's this great big drum sitting around here. And the only other difference is the ceramic that they've got inside that pipe. Now, those people who say you should insulate this whole thing, well, they're basically cracked. Because without being rude, all you'll do with it if you do that is melt it into slag. You want a heater. The heat needs to get out. Now, I normally don't argue about this because I basically don't think it's worth the trouble, but your wood goes in here. You've got to get the temperature around about 300, 400 degrees C here, because that's when it pyrolyzes. When it pyrolyzes, it's going to give off those gases that can be burnt. Now, it pyrolyzes and gets that temperature from burning the wood. So you want about 300, 400 degrees centigrade there. Gases go in here. Now the gases will burn at about 900 degrees centigrade. And this is the bit that people don't seem to understand. It's like the flash point of cooking oil. If you take cooking oil and you heat it up to 315 degrees centigrade, more or less, depending on the type of cooking oil, that's called the flash point. That's the point at which it will burn. Once it burns, of course, the temperature shoots right up. But you have to get it to 315. Now the flash point of these gases is about 700 to 900. So you want this area 900. Once it burns, if you keep that heat in that area beyond that, it's going to get to 2,000 degrees, no problem at all. And of course, that's going to destroy what you're doing. So this is an important point in rocket stove design. The temperature it will burn at isn't the same as the temperature it will burn to. The temperature it will burn at is the flash point, about 900 degrees. The temperature it will burn to is, sky's the limit, 1200, no problem at all. If you aim for the temperature it's burned to, you've misunderstood. if you aim for the temperature it will burn at, you have a great design. You don't want to surround this entirety with insulation, keeping all the heat in until you create a forge and melt everything into a greasy spot. You want 300 to 400 here, 900-ish here. Any more than that, it's going to damage it. So clearly, the guys over at Liberator know what they're doing. They've put enough insulation in here to maintain that temperature at about 900 so we get a full burn. But not to let it get up to 1200 where it's just going to blow everything to pieces. They haven't insulated this section because the fire is just going to do that. It's going to get to 300 to 400 just because you're burning wood, and that's all you want it to do. Any more is a waste. So clearly they know what they're talking about, and the reason for that? It's a heater. It's meant to give out the heat. You don't want to give out all of the heat or this will drop and you'll lose the temperature it will burn at. But anything above that, you don't get any increase in efficiency. You don't get any better burn. That heat is the heat you want to give out. What these guys have done is put the insulation in the bit where it should be, and that's in this section here. Once you insulate that section, then you can keep the gases relatively warm as they come into the burn section and ensure a better burn. If you insulate the whole lot, then you're just wasting your time, your money and your effort in making it. That insulation here, fantastic idea, exactly what you should be doing. Insulating the whole lot, forget about it. So they've got this here, and we have an opportunity to have a think about this and see what we might be able to do to improve it, in inverted commas obviously, and make some suggestions to the guys and try to help out a little bit to see if we can get something along those lines. Now obviously on this one of the major things that we did was add these vent holes here to allow a greater intake of oxygen in the point where the gas is burning. So that would be one suggestion to the guys that I would make. Now with something like that, then you have to watch out for ash, because obviously, you know, we're doing garden prototypes. Who cares if a bit of ash blows out of there? No worries. But if you're going to do something like that, then maybe an ash pan underneath it would be a thing to do. And of course it does also give a point of cleaning, because in order to clean this out, you've got to take the top off or reach through here. Now these things, with the burn that they've got, the ash that is produced is absolutely minute. I mean, it's a thimbleful for hours of burning. It's incredible. Never scraper to get it out. But an ash pan that flapped down possibly might be an interesting addition to give an ease of access for people. Whenever you add something though, you're adding complexity and you're adding cost. All this stuff starts to add up if you make it too complicated. So what we're trying to do is make suggestions that would improve it, but not overload it with a ton of cost. So one thing might be to try adding the holes, but to put an ash pan underneath there that opened up so people could have access to that section of it, rather than having to access the same section from the front. But it is a thing of great beauty. Hey, I'm totally in love with it, and I'm certainly going to be working on it a little bit to see what else we might come up with. Now, I'm very reluctant to take an angle grinder to it, but that's a distinct possibility. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much to the guys over at Liberator. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun looking at this and seeing what we can come up with. Do make some suggestions, because you guys do make awesome suggestions, and I'd want to have a read at those as well, and so we can have a think together about how we might help the guys out, improve this product, and hopefully help them. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and please do remember to like and subscribe.